My friend's investment portfolio just hit $1 million. She's going to share with us exactly how she did it, the mindset, the practical strategies, and how she feels about her financial future. We're catching up with my friend Michele for episode 3. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Sugar Mama's Fireplay. I am your host, financial planner Canna Campbell, and as always, I'm here every Monday morning at 5 a.m., rain, hail, or shine, to help make sure that you start your week off on an inspired, informed, and most importantly, educated note when it comes to achieving all of those very exciting financial goals and dreams. This morning, we're joined with Michele. So this is actually our third catch up with Michele. So in our first episode, Michele shared the most insightful quote, and that is, hopefully everyone remembers this: if you can afford an iPhone, you can afford to start investing in shares. And she was spot on. Then in this second episode, when we chatted with Michele, she shared with us how she had doubled her portfolio in less than 2.5 years. And in today's episode, she's going to share with us how she's actually pretty much doubled her portfolio again. That's right. Her portfolio has hit the $1 million mark. So she's going to allow me to pick her brain and give us all those insightful, important bits of information so that we can apply this in our own financial lives. Good morning, Michele. How are you?
Hi. How are you, Kat?
Now, you were previously living in LA when we first spoke, and then when we met in person, we were in LA. Where are you living now?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Wow. And what's the weather like there right now?
It's 115 degrees.
So how much is that in Celsius? I think it's like over 40, I think.
Let me Google because we don't do Celsius, but it's not like the rest of the world.
Yeah, well, in Sydney at the moment, it is winter and it's wet, cold, and miserable. And I have to say, I'm feeling like I'm permanently soggy. But that's not the good thing about, I guess, winter is you get to hibernate a little bit. And I tend to spend a lot less because I'm just more happy feeling my soul at home. But enough about me. I want to ask you about you and your financial journey. Now, massive, massive congratulations, because your portfolio just hit the $1 million mark. Can you share with us? It's just crazy. Can you share with us how it feels to achieve this milestone at the age that you are? Like, you're not even like halfway through life.
Yeah. I hit it on Thursday, to be exact. So last Thursday, a week ago from yesterday, I hit the mark, and it was thanks to Broadcom. And I was at work and I was looking at, the shares for the day because I knew that they had big news, and I was so close. And then I got home, and then the aftermarket blew up on it. I mean, it blew up, and it went up like $220 some a share in the aftermarket. And it had already been going up all week. And I kept saying, let me take some off. Like, no. I know this guy. I've been with this one for a long time. Just ride it out just a little bit longer. And when it got up to that amount, I took enough off the table. And when I did that and I ran the numbers, I had reached the $1,006,000.60, something like that. And I was like screaming. I was like that screaming. And then I called a couple of friends who I could trust with it without them saying, oh, can I borrow some money? So that was what it felt like. Oh, and it was the weirdest feeling, because it's like I've worked for this special number, and I think everybody works for this number. And then when it finally happened, it was like, okay, I do feel kind of different. I really do. So you do feel different, but then you're like, okay, now I know I can't tell everybody, but I want to tell everybody. And you want to buy something, but I was like, no. I'll wait to buy something when I'm at, I don't know, $1.5 million.
It's quite special because the day that where your investment portfolio clocked the $1 million mark was
Mhm.
actually the anniversary of your mother's passing. And your mother is actually the woman that initially really inspired you to take control of your financial future and to step up. It's so special.
Yeah, it was. And you saying that, it did remind me. I was like, because she was one of the people, I was like, oh my God, I wish she was living, because she would have been like, well, you was always good with money. Because, I was her little calculator when we go to the grocery store. She put some in the cart and she's like, well, okay, where am I at? And I would run it in my head. I'm like, oh, plus with tax, it'll be this amount. So I would go to the grocery store with her and be the calculator. So she would have been very impressed, but she wouldn't have been surprised because she always said I was going to be rich. So
Now I'm going to ask you a whole pile of like practical questions and about how you did this and the resources that you use. So a quick obviously reminder to everyone that all of my content, in particular my podcast episodes, are always general in nature and nothing is ever product advice, investment advice, strategic advice whatsoever. Please, it's purely obviously for everyone's educational purposes only. But I've got to ask you, your mindset is phenomenal. You are like constantly motivated and driven, and you have this amazing like sense of focus. Can you share a little bit about your mindset, but also like how it has maybe evolved over time and influence your investment decisions?
well, it's funny you say that, but most of the time I'm focused on a goal, but I'm not so much focused all the time, because I will get down a lot, because I'm like, I see people half my age, like in their 20s, saying they did this and that. I'm like, okay, I'm doing everything right. Why didn't I get there? So sometimes that motivates me when I see somebody much younger that, doesn't have like, how do I want to put it? Like some of these kids are coming out of college right now making, especially if they're in tech, making like six figures, lots of money, and they're able to do a lot of things with that. For me, it's just changed over time that I've just become more comfortable in the fact that when I say I'm going to buy something and I research it, I trust my own judgment. Whereas before, I didn't trust my own judgment. I literally bought what other people bought. I bought what I knew. And I think I remember telling you everything I bought, I always bought what I knew, and I love dividends. But now I'm buying stuff I don't know, because now I've become so seasoned that I'm really comfortable, thinking outside the box. So that's how I've
Wow.
grown. Yeah.
When you're having those days where you feel flat, thinking, there's this, guy or girl like half my age earning, $120,000 a year, how do you like deal with that feeling? Because I don't ever believe in comparing yourself. I think that's like a bottomless pit. But how do
Yeah.
you, for people who do that like you, how do you get out of that hole?
Oh, good question. I get out of it by helping other people. Like if I'm on a binge and I'm watching these YouTube videos and they're telling this and that, I mean, you could get so down and so depressed. You're like, you know what? I'm not going to watch it. And then I'll look at my portfolio. I'll literally go online and look at it. I'm like, I've got a lot of money here. What is wrong with me? So then what I do is I'm like, I can't believe I'm feeling sorry for myself. Yet there's some people who would just love to have $1,000 during the Dave Ramsey, have $1,000 in your savings account. Whereas I have enough to, I don't know, to feed a small village in Africa or something. So I'm like, okay, you got to stop watching this stuff. So I'll stop watching it for a while, and I'll go out and I'll help somebody else. And I do that by just introducing people like, hey, have you ever thought about like retiring anytime soon? Or do you like your job? And, I did this with a neighbor 2 doors down from me who become, good friends, and they started investing. And so we've been doing 1 hour classes twice a week, where I'll go over there and we'll just sit there and I go over like, how to look at this, how to read the numbers, decide what you want. And so we did this for about 2 months, and now they have got their portfolio started, and they've got a few shares. And the first thing I told them, now, okay, you can look at the market every day, but do not keep buying every day and don't sell every day. Just trust what you bought and ride out the storm. And so that's what I do when I'm, comparing apples to oranges. I just go and find somebody who's not has done as well as I have.
I think it's so important, that sense of gratitude of just pressing pause and looking at actually how much we've got already. And we have everything we need to, in the moment right now, to exceed and progress ahead. And then that moment to actually take stop and look at how far you've come. It's a great mindset switch, if you're feeling, down in the dumps, to stop yourself and pull yourself out of it.
Right.
Now, when it comes to the balance in life, a lot of people think if you want to build wealth, you have to deprive yourself. There are huge sacrifices. It's about, living a frugal life filled with deprivation. I totally disagree with that. I'm all about balance. And I know from when we caught up in LA, we had a great laugh about our love of, beautiful handbags, for example.
Yeah.
How do you find the balance? How have you found that sweet spot where you balance your financial goals and being responsible with money, but also allowing yourself to have a couple of splurges here and there?
You know what? You're right. Because I used to be frugal. When I was younger, I was very frugal. But my mother used to tell me all the time, because her father used to tell her, she doesn't wear well. So she would, even though she raised 5 kids, she would never buy really cheap clothes. She loved, I wouldn't say so much name brand, but they were always high quality clothes. So sometimes they would be, but she always said quality last. And so when you see yourself doing really well and you're paying your bills all on time, you have that extra little cash. I put money in my emergency fund. I put money in the market. And then if I come into a couple of more $100, I'm like, you know what? I've earned it. I'm going to enjoy it. And it is a happy balance. And I found that the more I've enjoyed the money that I have, the more I get. I know it sounds crazy.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't sound crazy at all. I think, but it's that, what that is it's gratitude. And what we appreciate appreciates. And pressing pause to acknowledge how nice it feels to, come from a place of self-love and self-respect. By prioritizing our financial well-being, we can then reward ourselves in a very healthy way, which is filled with self-love and self-respect, and do it so guilt-free because we've got our priorities in the right order.
Yeah. And I've started to donate more. So like I said, I've started to do stuff that I've wanted to do a long time, tied to my church, also give to charitable organizations. I've gotten 2 of them that I like. One is Project 47, and another one I think you guys probably have heard of a lot is Wounded Warriors. So I donate to that company. And I got to tell you, Hannah, I enjoy donating more than now I'm buying stuff, which is something I never thought would come out of my mouth. But they say when you're a happy giver, things come back to you tenfold, and it really does. You get the satisfaction knowing that your hard work and you're building your financial freedom is helping others who are down on their luck at the moment. And this comes back to me with good karma.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I run this group. It's called the Money Mindset Manifestation Program, and it's a special community that people can sort of join. And I am available literally 24/7. And the other day someone messaged me and said, hey, something's happened. I'm feeling a bit flat, a bit confused, and I spent I think 40 minutes chatting with this person, working through the stuff that was going and helping them see what was the blessing behind. And it was the most fulfilling, enjoyable experience, connecting with someone, helping someone, allowing, peeling back the layers together, brainstorming together. It just, before that morning, I was feeling a little bit tired and flat. And by the time I got off that call, I just felt like I was just buzzing with passion, with love, with happiness. I think the key to happiness is being able to help other people and help other people unconditionally. So yeah, I completely agree with everything you're saying. For listeners who are really keen to get started, what advice could you give them to help make sure that they push through that feeling of analysis paralysis, or that feeling of overwhelm, or not even sure where to get started? What would be, the advice you'd be to me if I was your neighbor next door wanting to begin?
Okay, so what I told them, because they wanted to literally buy the same things I buy. And, recently I bought some of Chipotle's and things like that. And those are in the $1,000 range. I told them, I said, you shouldn't start that high. I said, trust me, I've been doing this a long time. And I said, and when I first started, I didn't buy anything more than like $25, $30, $40. And I said, that was too much for me. I said, so don't try to start at the same pace as somebody else, because then you'll get down, you'll get disgruntled. You're like, oh, I can't do it. I said, pick a dollar amount, stick with that amount, find ways to cut your budget to just get that amount each month and stay consistent. That will make you feel better. You won't see it growing too much for like a 2 or 3 months or something like that, but just stick with it. Trust me when I tell you, the turtle always beats the hare.
Yeah, it's better to start with something that's actually achievable, and you've got to be so patient. And this is what I love about the $1,000 project. It's you're just focusing on $1,000. Forget about the $1 million dreams and goals. I mean, they're great to have, but just focus on what you can do today to get started. If it's $100 or $500, that's still great. But you can, once you get started, the only way is up from there. And you can, if $1,000 feels overwhelming, try and do the $500 project. And, my portfolio hasn't done as well as yours. Like, I think I'm up to about $285,000 for the $1,000 project, which I've built over 8 years or 8.5 years, which is, I'm really proud of, it makes about a passive income of over $16,000 a year in dividends. But all I ever do is, for me, like the $1,000 project is about small baby steps. But, if you can do a little bit every day or every week or every month over the period of time, like, it's incredible what it can do. And I think people would sort of turn their nose up thinking, well, why would I bother with something such a small amount of money? But they don't realize that's the birthplace of your journey. And it's incredible how quickly that adds up.
Your $1,000 project, when I started, now, granted, I want people to remember too, my portfolio is also from if I've switched a job and I've rolled over my retirement funds, like my IRAs and stuff that were like in mutual funds. And they, once you leave a company, you get the money and you have to roll it over. So when I roll it over and I buy stocks with it. So that's how it grew a lot faster as well. As for your $1,000 project, I love that book. I love the concept. I couldn't afford 1,000 at a time because I can't hustle as hard to come up with 1,000. So I would use working money, but I have told people about that. And I also let them borrow your second book, the money mindset one. So mindful. So I gave that to them.
Oh, money mindful.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, okay, you got a couple more weeks, and then I want it back. But I may get them. I may buy it for them for Christmas because, it's something that you can always go back and look at and read. But the $1,000 project it's tougher than it sounds, and I think one of your readers even like cut it in half, or she did like $100 project, so they could do that too. So it's
someone did the $10,000 project. They messaged me. They were working in parcels of $10,000. I was like, wow, oh my gosh. But the funny thing is that I've been doing it for 8 years, but the truth is over the last 4 years, I haven't really added anything to the portfolio. I've really just been like, I haven't added really much. Only in the last probably 6 months, I've been chipping away at the margin loan. There's a very small margin loan that's reducing. And I've been sort of paying that off, but I haven't actually added anything really to the portfolio for the last 4 years. So, it actually could have been much, much bigger. But the beautiful thing about the $1,000 project is it rolls with you because, for me, the last 4 years, I've had 2 babies and we've moved house we've moved house twice. So I've had, additional distractions and expenses to deal with. So I haven't been able to put, my heart and soul like I had for the first 4 years of the $1,000 project. So, but I doesn't, that's the whole thing, is it's fluid. It works with you, it evolves with you. And, this year I'm looking at paying off the $1,000 project margin loan, which is down to about 39,000. And I'm going to look at switching it into a debt recycling strategy. And my goal is now to turn it into a $1 million share portfolio like you've done. So, you don't have to be constantly committed to it. You can, investing can evolve with you depending on what's going on in your life. Now, I need to ask you an important question. What would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned along the way of building up this $1 million investment portfolio that you wish you had known before you had gotten started?
What I learned. I took too long to do it. That's the one thing I learned. You said you didn't put more money in. I haven't added more money to this account since last year when I put $2,000 in it. That's it. Yeah.
This is the power of compounding interest, because you've been in, and this is why it's so important as an investor. If you're investing in stocks, it's a long-term investment horizon. And when I say long-term, it's 10, 15, 20 years. And I know for me, it's indefinite because I never intended on selling my stocks. So I'll be cutting off my passive income stream. But, people they want to get rich overnight. And it can happen, but at huge risk, and at huge risk of things potentially backfiring, going wrong, and filling a life with regret. I mean, I'd rather play, as you said, it's the hare and the turtle or tortoise. Yeah. I would rather something allows balance in my life and allow me to build wise, intelligent, tax effective, passive income than some sort of form of gambling, really.
Yeah. And a lot of people think this is gambling, but I'm like, it's not, because you see the stores you go into, you know when they're doing bad or they're doing good. You can see the foot traffic, and you can see when it's probably time to get out if you bought something like in one of these retail stores or something like that. So I said, that's not gambling. That's just, you see it and you're just taking advantage of it. I've also learned that I have literally made more money. Like right now, this moment, I've made, well, today was not a great day, and yesterday wasn't a great day. But if I took those 2 days off the table, I still made double what my salary will be at the end of the year.
Wow.
And it's only been 6 months. And if I would have known that so many years ago that, your soldiers out there working for you would do it. Because I feel like I'm a CEO of my portfolio, and all of my worker bees are sitting here working for me. I'm not doing anything contributing to making it happen except for moving money from here to there. If I sell something that's gone up really high, such as an Nvidia or something, when that split happened, and you have, I had 100 shares. Now I have 1,000. I knew I didn't want that many of that stock. So I took some off the table. But when I take something off the table, I buy stocks. Like I bought more of, I don't mind saying I bought more Pepsi. It hasn't been doing great, but it is a great company as well. And it has a great dividend, and it's slow and steady, which is what I like. So, you could be your own boss. Part-time is what I'm doing, but it's rewarded me 10 times.
How important is that passive income to you in being able to one day allow you to quit and, enjoy an early retirement?
I could quit now. Thursday.
No way. Okay, how old are you?
When I ran the numbers on Thursday, I said, oh my gosh, I could pay the balance of the house I'm living in now off, because it's my only debt. I paid off my car in 2 years. So I have no debt. And I was like, oh my goodness. I said, I even ran the numbers on how much I would have to pay in insurance, health insurance, until I'm able to get Medicare in a couple of decades, and I could retire now. But I was like, oh no, I have too much things I still need to do. I want to buy another property. I know that if I don't have a job, that I would have to put such a big chunk down that would kind of hurt, and I wouldn't feel comfortable. But yeah, if I didn't want to buy another 2 properties and I was just content with living here, I could retire as of Thursday last week and, get out of the game, but I haven't. My original goal when I spoke with you in LA was 1.3. So
yeah,
if I count that,
I remember this.
Yeah, it was 1.3. And
Yeah. It
I'm
feels like the other day.
yeah, and I'm at 1.252. That's including the house equity and everything. And I'm like, I don't even want to count the house. I want it to just be. So now I'm working to one just to get the other two real estate properties that I want to get to rent out and to just, be able to take care of those for a couple of years. So I'm looking at 3 years now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell everyone how old you are?
47 and a half.
You are amazing. Retiring out, if you wanted to, and this is the thing is you've got choice. If
Yeah.
I know you don't want to, and I love that you don't want to, and I don't, to be honest, I don't think you'll ever stop because you're just so driven and so passionate about life. But if you wanted to, you could retire today at 47 and a half. Do you know how that like many people in the world could say that? Not
Yeah.
that many. Like you're
I didn't
in
think so
the
either.
minority.
Yeah, exactly. Especially being a minority, that's huge. But again, when I looked at others online who were even like 40 and 35, I'm like, okay. But some of the things they did, I didn't do. So they did live in lower cost of living cities. I, of course, did not living in LA for so long, but I enjoyed myself and would love to go back there but go back there comfortable, not struggling. But yeah, it's weird and it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm so young. No, it feels like I'm creeping along.
All right, for anyone that's listening right now and they're like, I want to be like Michele. I want to be able to have that choice where I can retire if I want to. What would be your advice to them to tell them to stop thinking about it and talking about it, but start doing it?
You just said it, just do it. Like um, the friends, like I said, a couple of doors down, they were, when I told them and everything, and they were feeling comfortable, the first thing they did was open up one of those, I don't know what app it is, but it lets you pretend to trade and everything. And
Oh,
it's like,
yeah,
oh,
paper trading. Yeah, it's
yeah,
brilliant.
I want to do that for like a month or so. And I'm like, stop it. Just take the money and put it, even if you just open up the brokerage account and put the money and let it just sit there. Just do it. You trust. And when they finally pull the trigger, they're like, okay, fine. And they did it because I think those apps, I think they were good back in the day, but I think now, because the market is constantly moving one way or the other, you can't time it. So stop trying to time it. Just get in it and just pick something, like I said, that you know first. If you know it, you use it
Well,
all the time and it's doing well, buy that. Even if it's only one share, just get in it. Don't sit on the sidelines. Stop it. Stop
and
sitting on the
that's
sidelines.
why, I say to people, that if someone, comes up to me in the street and says, look, I really want to start investing in shares, what should I buy? Obviously, I'm never going to say, hey, buy this stock, because that's product advice and personal advice and will get me into a whole pile of trouble. But, for
Yeah.
anyone that wants to build up a diversified share portfolio is overwhelmed by, the analysis paralysis of what to invest in, what company, what industry, what sector, blah, blah, blah. Learn about ETFs and listed investment companies, because you could essentially take your $1,000, and this is
Mm-hmm.
assuming that you understand what you're doing, you understand it's a long-term investment, and you know that you want a diversified share portfolio, whether it be Australian or international, using a vehicle like an exchange traded fund or a
Yes.
listed investment company means that $1,000 is immediately invested across 80, 100, 150 different companies. It is done for you. And it
Yeah.
is just a great way to start. And you've got your foot in the door. You're technically a shareholder, you're earning dividends now, and you can build on from there. It's just such a great place, obviously under those assumptions, and not giving anyone product advice here, but it is so easy. And I know a large amount of my portfolio, for both my personal share portfolio that's separate to the $1,000 project portfolio, a large percentage of it, I've been, accumulating, more listed investment companies, because I don't have to sit there and watch stocks and research reports and,
Yeah.
sit in front of like Bloomberg or, Sky Business. I've got, it gives me my time back for other enjoyable things in life.
Yeah. I like listening to the quarterly reports, and that's about it. All the rest
Yeah.
of it, I'm like, I can't. Because you literally, like you said, you just start to get a headache. But
Yeah.
when people say they feel overwhelmed because they'll say that, oh, I just don't know what to buy, I just don't know what to buy. I'm like, go to the mall, sit at the food court, then you'll know what to buy. Because it
Mm.
always shocks me that people can take their tax return and it'll be a couple $1,000s, and they could go to the mall and they could go buy all these things and have two hands filled with bags, and they're so happy to walk into their car. We know that feeling because I know I remember those days. I still get a kick when I have that bag in my hand, you know. You know which bags we're talking about. And you know how they wrap it in a bow and everything and give you extra little free samples. I'm like, okay, so did you feel overwhelmed when you went on that shopping spree? And they're like, no. I said, it's the same thing with stock. The difference is you can't buy as much as you would on that little spree. But if you still have your tax refund of $1,000, you still can go shopping in the market. Just instead of buying the product, buy the stock, be the
Yeah.
owner.
I love exactly. And, I not product advice, but I own shares in Woolworths, which is our major supermarket here. And it's so satisfying walking through going, I'm supporting a business by shopping here. And I'm a Woolworths Everyday Rewards, I click my points every time and use my, pet insurance discount. But it's so satisfying walking through going, I own
Yeah.
a tiny percentage of this supermarket. Like it's so satisfying. And for people who think, well, I don't know what to be buying, also think about, what do we need every day to live? Well, we need electricity. We need to put petrol in our car. We need food. We need to buy bread. We need to buy milk. There are the essentials. If you're wanting to pick your individual stocks, start with what we need to be able to survive and to live. And start building a portfolio. Look around you, look at the trends, look at what's, where people are spending money, and it's like when you start actually, opening your eyes and looking at what are people doing, like where are they spending their money, it's really insightful, as well as you become a more experienced, more confident investor. And you can start, maybe once you've got a really solid base portfolio of ETFs and listed investment companies, you can start going, what, I know I've probably got that particular company in my portfolio already through the ETF or the listed investment company. I'm actually going to up the stakes a little bit here and buy some individual stocks in that company. So I have a little bit more skin in the game with that industry or that company. It's amazing how creative you can actually really be in building up your wealth.
Yeah, I mean, I started in mutual funds. I started with Vanguard funds and Janus funds, and they did great, but they didn't do fabulous like I'm doing now. And I knew I'd always wanted to buy individual stocks. And like you said, it's fun when you go into a store or something. You're like, I had to go and get another phone upgrade, and I walked into a Verizon store, and it was just great to know that, okay, I own some of this,
Yeah.
So that felt great. And of course, I was buying another Apple. And I'm not saying if Samsung or Apple, anyone's better than the other. I buy because it all talks to everything. It talks to my watch, to my AirPods, all that. So, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to get another one because I own stock in that, You get in your car, you're driving to McDonald's, you're like, I own stock in that while I'm drinking a Coke. I own stock in that. It is just like, yeah, I may work for somebody else and get a paycheck, but I'm also an owner.
Yeah. It's the feeling is,
yeah. It's a good feeling, and it cracks people up when I'm in the car with them. I'm like, yeah, get that. And I'm like, thank you for your contribution to my retirement when they buy something that I own I did that. Literally, I did that on, I think it was, what was it, Tuesday or Wednesday at work. They had pizza or something, and they didn't have Coke, but they had Pepsi, and I have shares in both. And I said, thank you for contributing. We're like, what? They're like, oh my God, really? I didn't know that. And it's like, well, you never asked, but yeah. So, it's something to tell at the little cocktail parties.
Look, Michele, you are so incredibly inspiring, and I'm so motivated as well to go and like jump into my share portfolio, look at my account, look at what extra money I can kind of hustle up this week to be able to, to add more to my portfolio, because I just have this massive rush. I'm sure our listeners do right now. So, I can't thank you enough for your like being so generous with your time in updating us with your story. And for the listeners right now listening to this episode, please make sure you go and listen to Michele's previous episodes, which I will link in the podcast notes, because you will hear her story from when a portfolio was worth about 200, 250, and then she jumps up to just under $500,000. And now she's just cracked the $1 million mark, which is phenomenal. And just like, and the fact that you want to keep going is just, it's just gold. Like everything. I have so much, like respect and appreciation towards you and what you've achieved, and how generous you are with sharing your insights and experience and knowledge.
Yeah, but I wanted to add one more thing.
Okay.
Friday was also a big day for me.
Yeah.
I'm a perfect credit score of 850. I'm the only person I know that's done that, and everybody I've told to, they don't know anybody else either. That is also very important to me, that I wanted to get out there on this podcast.
Credit scores is massive in America, and it is a little bit here, but no one talk. It's a bit of a behind closed doors, because only really people check their credit scores here, maybe when they're going to apply for a loan with the bank, or if they're in trouble. So, it's funny, like I think people almost have in America their credit score as part of their like dating profile. But here it's not as a big a thing, but it is very important, because it helps you, if you know your credit score, you can negotiate sometimes a much better rate with your bank as well. So you can actually save yourself a huge amount of money. So, again, not only congratulations on cracking $1 million, but also on your FICO score, because I know how important that is for you in America.
Yes.
Oh, look, now, Michele, my next final question is, and we'll take this offline, but when are you coming to Australia? And I insist that you come and stay with me in Sydney. So you need to hurry up and retire and book that flight to Sydney.
I know. Yes, I want to come so bad. And when I started with this client, because I'm a consultant and I have this client, and it was supposed to be just a couple of months, but now it's got extended. So it's like, okay, great. And anytime my current employer, when we have a project with a client, it's never a good time. And I'm like, I need to take time off, because I'm not going to lose my vacation time, because, I'm working with somebody, but I definitely want to come. But every time I see your kids, the two cute little girls, I'm like, oh my God, I'd be ready for them. Because Rocco, I'm ready for. And I want to see just Giuseppe so bad. I love that.
I know.
Oh my gosh. I wanted to see him on screen today, because I was like, I never asked her to let me see Giuseppe.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I promise you I'll send you some photographs. Giuseppe is the only sane member of our household. We have a pretty wild neurodivergent mix going on here, and he's the only sane one, probably followed by Rocco. Tom is definitely the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah,
but
he is.
Yeah.
And I kind of kicked out of Tom's card today. I was glad you did another Tom's card today, because I was watching it, and I just thought he needs a little caddy where you can put all these little things in, like a little, one of those little caddies that you could put in there, and you could sit it on the floor, and you could just throw everything in that little spot. It would still be covered up.
I think his whole car is a caddy, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no. People love my updates of what's inside Tom's car this week, but so that's over on my Instagram account. Look, Michele, I will let you get back on with your day. I can't thank you enough for coming on Sugar Mama's Fire Play. And to all the listeners right now, please make sure you go and listen to the previous episodes. Like, it really is phenomenal what Michele has achieved. And if you could take a moment to leave a rating and a review, I would greatly appreciate it, because for me, every review and rating counts, just like every dollar counts for yours and my financial journey too. So everyone, thank you so much for listening to Sugar Mama's Fire Play. And again, thank you so much to Michele. Ciao for now.